Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. The card projects I'm about to show you feature the Ton stamps. I've been a huge fan of their floral stamps and some of their card designers for a while, so it is an incredible privilege to join the Ton in this video hop. If you're new to my channel, welcome, and I hope you enjoy this video. I can't wait to show you all the card I made using this freaking huge stamp set. This is Peony Memories Cardmaking 9x12 stamp set. This stamp set has been so well engineered that it encompasses a variety of sentiments and is perfect for mass production. Peony Memories Cardmaking and the scrapbooking version are amplified by the coordinating die cut, which I'll show you in a second. I also got the Modern Alpha's Coverplate die from the Ton, and honestly, if I was limited to these three items, Peony Memories Cardmaking, Peony Memories Coordinating die, and the Modern Alpha's Coverplate die, I'd be able to make an entire year's worth of cards suitable for any occasion. Oh, and the Coverplate die, let me tell you, the letters are in neat little rows with 2 rows of vowels. The rows of letters are 3/4 of an inch high and 4 1/4 wide, so you can either cut an entire A2 size panel of letters or cut one row of letters as needed with a 1 inch by 4 1/4 inch strip. The great thing about alpha dies is you can never have too many letters on stock, so doing multiple passes ahead of time will save you in those times you need an emergency card. Honestly, besides all that, I just wanted to see where these 3 items would take me. So first I'm taking the Peony Memories card making stamp and several panels of 4x6 inch Nina Solar White 80-pound cardstock. I'm going to grab my original Misty, this is the 6.5 by 8.5 working platform, and place my panel on the top right. I'll place the first layer of flower images on top of my paper, that's the layer with the most surface area, with a thin margin around. Then I'll ink up the stamp with my lightest layering ink color and stamp the image as usual. I can squeeze the second layer of the stamp onto my original Misty by orienting the paper as shown, and then aligning the second layer to the first, following the layering guides provided by the stamp. So I'm looking at these longer bars and squares to align the clear stamp to the inked layer below. I will ink this layer stamp in my second darkest layering ink and stamp the image on top of the base layer. Now I will need another Misty. This one is the mini size with a workable platform of 3 3/4 by 6. I'll take the final layer of peonies, the one with the least surface area, after aligning my paper to the top right corner of my mini Misty. I'll ink and stamp as usual, and that finishes the petals to these flowers. Between each layer, I'm cleaning the stamp with a microfiber cloth and photopolymer stamp cleaner. Then in my mini Misty, I'll turn the paper 180 degrees, aligning the paper to the bottom right corner and align the center layer to the flowers. There is no layering guide, so all you will have to do is look through the clear stamp to align the centers. And I'll pick these up with my mini Misty lid as well and stamp the image in a bright yellow ink. Now in order to orient the final center layer to the flowers, I had to place my paper back into the original Misty like so, and align the images. I'll stamp these center images in the same bright yellow ink as before, and that's the flowers nearly done. The berry images need their stems, which will come in a bit. An alternative way to stamp all these images is by doing the same step multiple times, so placing the base layer in the Misty and stamping that one several times, then cleaning and removing the stamp and repeating the inking with the second layer, so on and so forth. But for me, I'm so accident prone with aligning my paper that the repetition makes me lose track of what I'm doing, so I do prefer to have all my stamps laid out so that I can rotate my paper all around my craft mat. So then once I've stamped a few 4x6 panels of flowers, I'll move on to the leaves and stems. I've cleaned off all the peony layers and placed the most solid layer of leaves into my Misty. I'm aligning my paper to the bottom left this time, and the stamp will match with the 2 rectangles carried over from the flower stamps, as well as visually by adding stems to the flower images. For the next layer, I'll rotate my panel 180 degrees and align the paper to the top left. I'll grab the second detail stamp and use the layering guide rectangles as well as the lower base leaf layer to ensure I get the correct impression. I'll ink and stamp this image using the second darkest warm gray ink in my layering set. Finally, I'll rotate the panel 180 degrees, align the last detail as usual, and stamp the image using my darkest layering ink. I'll repeat this for the other panels now to nearly complete the full panel before die cutting. I experimented with different ink combinations for the petals in these 5 panels by adding darker layers for more flower variation. Before die cutting these panels, there is one last layer that needs to be stamped, which is the stems for the last 2 berry clusters. The stamp is easy to mount onto an acrylic block and then align visually without the need of a MISTI. Now, I can't resist adding some splatters. I typically use them to cover up my layering stamp boo-boos, but in this case I wanted a dreamy aura to these peonies. I did all the panels at the same time by diluting some white calligraphy ink with water and using a fine tip water brush to add splatters. Once the panels are dry, I'll use the Coordinating Peony Memories coordinating die cut to cut all these images out at once. Honestly, I was a bit skeptical this wasn't going to be perfect, but seriously, this was so easy to align, and once I ran this through my die cutting machine, I got perfect images with uniform white margins all around my stamped flowers and leaves. So here I'm only showing you the fuchsia color palette flowers and warm gray leaves. The die cuts you see are from the 3 complete panels from Peony Memories. I have no rhyme or reason for the flower arrangement you're about to see. I was just trying to see what I could create with all these flowers. You'll see me use Glad press and seal to pick up the paper pieces and move them as needed. I am looking for an overall triangular cluster, but I was letting myself go a little wild and overboard with these flowers. After all, it was really easy to align, stamp, and die cut these images, so why not add nearly all of them to a card? Of course, I didn't end up using all the flowers and leaves on this one project. That would have been too much, right? But what I ended up with were 3 clusters of peonies cascading from the top left to the bottom left of my card. Before gluing everyone to my white cardstock panel, however, I added some black splatters, which was totally unnecessary because you can't even see them. But anyway, while that was drying, I'll add glue to my floral clusters. The nice thing about press and seal is now I can turn the whole arrangement over and apply glue to the back. Then I'll simply press the arrangement onto my dry splatter background. I'll foam mount some of the flowers for some added height and keep gluing the clusters down. I'll keep modifying the arrangement as I go, making sure that I'm not covering up too many elements I worked so hard to stamp. Also, don't be afraid to cut up your die cuts. For example, I'll cut apart this foliage cluster to give me individual leaves that work for my particular bouquet. So now you're probably like, well, where are you going to put your sentiment? That's a great question. I totally forgot about that. I'll grab the Modern Alpha's Coverplate die and this 1 inch by 4 1/4 inch strip of black cardstock. The great thing about the vowels being in their own row is that you can cut the word U, Y-O-U, by partial die cutting. No need to waste an entire panel of letters if you don't need them, but it is helpful to have a bunch just in case you're the sentiment building type. The reason I like cutting the word U, Y-O-U out is because it works as a statement piece for your sentiment. Simply replace the U in a sentiment strip with the alpha dies and you'll easily be able to showcase your sentiment on top of a busy floral bouquet. What I mean is I'm going to take the We Are So Proud of You stamp from the Peony Memories Cardmaking stamp set and use a piece of washi tape to mask off the U in the sentiment. I'll ink up the stamp using a black ink and remove the washi tape that was protecting the U. So now I'm left with We Are So Proud of, and I'll use the alpha die cuts to complete the sentiment. So now the sentiment makes sense on top of my floral cluster, and also you won't lose the sentiment strip among the sea of peonies because the black U really stands out now. I did feel that the U was a little brash, so I balanced out the black letters with a few black sequins hidden among the bouquet. And that finishes this really extra bouquet. I didn't use all the flower elements I stamped, so here's a second card I made following the same principles as the first card. Now, I stamped red flowers earlier, but I didn't want to keep you too long since you have somewhere else to be, right? I'll save these ideas for future projects, and I'll let you continue on to the next stop of the video hop. I have their channel link below, but before you go, make sure you subscribe and leave a comment, as doing so enters you into the giveaway from the Ton stamps. Details on the giveaway can be found in the description box, as well as links to the materials I used for today's card projects. Hey, thank you all so much for checking out my video. If you like what you've seen from me, make sure you give this video a thumbs up as well before heading to your next stop. I'll talk to you all very soon, and have the best day.